வணக்கம், good morning. என் பெயர் டாக்டர் பிரபாகர். So இன்னைக்கு வீடியோல we are going to discuss about the cytoskeleton. Cytoskeleton general physiologyல important short notes. Frequent universityல கேட்கப்படுற important questions. Cytoskeleton is important for the structure and shape of the cells. ஒரு காங்கிரீட் பில்டிங்க்கு அயன் ராட்ஸ் எவ்வளோ இம்பார்ட்டண்ட்டோ, ஒரு குடிசைக்கு கம்புகள் குறுக்க நெடுக்க உள்ள கெட்டுற கம்புகள் எவ்வளோ ஸ்ட்ரக்சர் ஷேப் இம்பார்ட்டண்ட்டோ, அது மாதிரி சைட்டோஸ்கெலிட்டன் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் ஃபார் த ஸ்ட்ரக்சர் அண்ட் ஷேப் ஆஃப் தி செல். There are three types of cytoskeleton is present: microtubules, intermediate filament, and microfilaments. So in the future slides we will go in detail about each cytoskeleton. Microtubules are long hollow structure with 25 nanometer in diameter. They are made up of two globular protein subunits, alpha and beta tubulin. So the alpha and beta subunits form the heterodimers. The aggregation of the heterodimers, aggregation means joining, many heterodimers joining to form the long tubes made up of staked rings. So staked ring means the வளையல்லாம் ஒன்று மேலே ஒன்று அடிக்க வச்சு அப்படியே இருக்கும், அந்த மாதிரி staked rings. So aggregation of the heterodimers to form the long tubes with the staked rings. Each ring usually contains 13 subunits of tubulin. ஒரு ringல 13 subunits இருக்கும். So the end of the microtubule attached with the guanosine triphosphate gap, that is important for the formation of the microtubule. The microtubule subunits can be ordered to the either end. The assembly mainly occur at the plus end. The assembly means the subunit joining the subunits mainly occur in the plus end, that end having the guanosine triphosphate gap. So assembly mainly occur at the plus end. Disassembly occur at the minus end. That means the growth is interrupted. Okay, microtubule subunit not attached to the minus end. The growth of the microtubule is temperature sensitivity. The disassembly is mainly occur in the less temperature, cold conditions. So the microtubules are a dynamic portion of the cytoskeleton because of a constant assembly and disassembly. That means constant growth and disappearance depend on the function. The microtubules also provide the tract for molecular motors. That molecular motors transport vehicle, act as the transport vehicle within the cell for transport of the organelles, secretory granules and other proteins within the cell. They also form the spindle which move the chromosome in mitosis. Okay, move the chromosome in mitosis. So the molecular motors carries the proteins, cell organelles that transport in the both directions depend on the molecular motors. Okay. This diagram depicts the microtubule. Microtubule is the long tube-like structure made up of alpha tubulin and beta tubulin. They form the stake of ring-like structures. So each ring contains the 13 subunits of the alpha tubulin or beta tubulin. This diagram shows the microtubule based molecular motors. This molecular motors is helpful for the transport within the cells, whether cell organelles or proteins. Two types of microtubule based molecular motors are gynosin and dynein. Gynosin always carries the cargo towards the plus end. Dynein always carries the cargo towards the minus end. So microtubule based molecular motors are gynosin and dynein. Some drugs available for the affect the cellular function through the interaction with the microtubule. So the microtubule assembly is prevented by the drug colchicine and vinplastin. Colchicine used for the disorder gout. Gout is the inflammatory condition that is occurs due to the accumulation of the uric acid. That condition we use the colchicine that affect the cellular functions. So this is helpful for the gout disorder. So that affect the microtubule assembly. Colchicine and vinplastin is the anti-cancer drug. Another one drug, that drug causes the paclitaxel or Taxol that bind to the microtubule, make them so stable so the organelles cannot move. The microtubule is important for the movement that is affected. So the mitotic spindle cannot form, the cell dies. So it is also used for the cancer. Okay. The intermediate filament, 10 nanometer in diameter. It is made up of various subunits. This filament connects the nuclear membrane to the cell membrane. The intermediate filament provides the flexibility for the cell and help it resist external pressure and stress. The absence of the intermediate filament produce cell rupture more easily. The abnormal intermediate filament in the human produce the blistering of the skin is common. Blistering is the small bubbles appear in the skin that is filled with the serum. The intermediate filament proteins are cell type specific. So the intermediate filament acts as the cellular marker. For example, the vimentin is the important intermediate filament for the fibroblast, and cytoskeleton is expressed in the epithelial cells. Intermediate filament diagram. This is a strong rope-like multi-protein assembly of the structures, provide the strength for the cell and resist the external pressure and stress. Microfilaments are long solid fibers. They are 7 nanometer diameter. The main proteins are actin. The actin is the major protein in the cell. About 50% of the protein, 50% protein in the cell is actin. The actin proteins are two types: filamentous actin. This is the intact type. Polymerization is common in this type. Another one is the globular actin. The polymerization is uncommon in the globular actin. In the filamentous actin interact with the cytoskeletons, they reach the microvilli of the intestinal mucosa. It is mainly present in the villi. It is used for the absorption of the nutrients. And with the integration with the integrin, microfilament integrate with the integrin, it forms the focal adjacent complex. It is act as the intercellular connections. In the microfilament also act as the track for the molecular motors, like myosin for the transport of the vehicle within the cell. The microfilament diagram. Microfilament is mainly made up of actin. The diameter of the microfilament is 7 nanometer. The actin is mainly important for the muscle contraction. It is a major protein in the cell. 15% of the protein in the cell is made up of actin. Actin based molecular motors diagram. This diagram, the actin is act as the tract for molecular motors like myosin. The myosin attached with the two head, and cargo, this is the cargo carrying the proteins, cell organelles from the transport of the one part of the cell to the other part of the cell. Cytoskeleton important for the maintain the cell shape and cell structure. It is also important for the movement of the cell organelles. It is also helpful for the cell division. Cytoskeleton mainly made up of proteins. There are three types: microtubules, intermediate filament, and microfilament. The cytoskeleton is the most frequently asked university question. Sometimes microtubule also separately asked as the short notes. Recently, February 2022, the MCQ came from the microfilament. The question is, solid fibers of the microfilament made up of which protein? Answer is the actin. So thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, subscribe the channel and share your friends. Once again, thank you.